Hello there and welcome back to another edition of Silly Car Showdown. Today we are taking a look at the 2003 Ford Focus RS. This first gen of Ford Focus is my favourite generation of the Ford Focus. I really like the first gen Focus. It's hard to find someone who doesn't, really. They're just such a cool car. Looks wise, you know, back when these cars started dropping, 98 I think was the first year of the Focus, this was a radical design, and to be fair, even, you know, several years on, this is still a fairly modern looking car. The dash has aged quite a bit. That sort of new edge design didn't really last too long in the dash, but the actual car itself looks really good, and these are excellent cars to drive as well. Of course, the RS model came out in 2003, I think it was. The car in this game is 2003. I think that was the first year of the Focus RS, and these featured about 200 horsepower stock, which is, well, that was very quick back in the day. It's going to feature a bit more than that, though, by the time we're done with this, because if my facts are right, then the engine swaps are the 3.7 litre V6, the 1.6 litre inline-4 turbo rally, or the 6.2 litre V8. Yeah, you can probably tell where this is going. It's going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, of course no drivetrain swaps are allowed, so this thing is staying front wheel drive, and unfortunately I'm going to have to put silly Forza Aero on our Focus. Oh god, I suppose it's better than that though. I guess this car carried on some of the bits from the SVT Focus in previous Forza games. To be fair, that looks absolutely stupid as well. Oh, we have HUD options. Those are all absolutely hideous. I'm not using any of them. Yeah, this already looks stupid enough. Right, tyre widths. Please tell me I get big tyres. They're okay. I guess 255s. That's bigger than what the V12 Jag thing had, the Def type. Admittedly, the Def type was steering with one set of wheels and putting its power through the other set of wheels. This is putting everything through one set of wheels, so yeah. This actually isn't going to be too far off power-wise. I'm kind of curious to see what the PI does with this one. Because Forza usually... I said in the D-Type episode, sometimes the cars will stop climbing PIs to tell you, you done messed up. It especially likes to do that with front-wheel drive cars from what I remember. In fact, it gets to the point where it will actually start backing PI off the cars if you make them way too insane. So, yeah, prepare for that. I am definitely going to go for a roll cage in this one particularly, and we will have weight reduction. We're going to be a fairly light car, if that's anything good. Right, on to the good stuff. Let us get a lot of power and put it through the front wheels of a Ford Focus. In case you're curious, the other Focus are, well, actually all three of the Focus RSs can have this engine. Technically you can use the 2009 if you want. I'm sure that probably comes with bigger tyres as well. But I decided to just use the first gen Focus because I prefer it. But yeah, you can stick this engine in the second gen Focus too, if you want to experience that. The other reason I didn't go for that is because the second gen Focus is basically the same as the Mazda that we used. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. I like how the PI does not climb a single PI point, even though we are adding that much power now. As far as these goes, I'm probably not going to add those. I don't want to go balls to the wall with this or not. Apparently the PI was actually being upped by that one, so I might actually... Does the PI... Okay, so the PI is actually going up. Sod it. Alright, we'll have it. Why not? It's not like it's going to make... Oh, that will make the weight distribution slightly worse, but I'm sure people would much rather see me drive a 1063 horsepower Ford Focus over just a boring 1000 horsepower Ford Focus. The other interesting thing to know about this is there is actually a V8 Focus in real life. I believe it won Bathurst at some point as well, or won in its class, but yeah. Anyways, 1063 horsepower, 891 foot-pound torque, 2543 pounds weight, front weight distribution is 58%, S761 front-engined, front-wheel drive. Alright. Yeah, we've had one really good front-wheel drive car around this track and one awful front-wheel drive car. I'm going to not rush to conclusions, but I'm going to assume this is going to go into the latter category. Anyways, to find out how our V8 Ford Focus is going to get along, it needs to go to the Brands Hatch Indy track, where it's going to have 7 laps to set the best time it possibly can. Current leader is the Lotus Elise GC12 at the time of 43.846, and that doesn't matter because this car is getting nowhere near that. As far as the best front-wheel drive car we've had around here, I believe, is, unless I'm missing one out, which I don't think I am, was the Mazda Speed 3 that set a time of 50.266. Other than that, we've had a few other ones. The Volvo NASCAR Nightmare was a 50.6, and the Citroen 2C VTEC was front-wheel drive as well. Of course, how can I forget about the Citroen 2C VTEC? This surprisingly isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And as soon as you press the power, oh my god, it understeers. Yeah, it does that as soon as you put the power down through a corner. But if we sort of keep, oh my god, it's just lighting the front tyres up. Again, I think I pointed this out in the past. You can sort of see, if you look down at the speedo, you can actually see sort of how much throttle and braking and all the rest of it I'm actually using, if you're ever curious. Yeah, this car, it should be pretty easy to guess. I mean, I like the way the speedo climbs. The speedo just sort of shoots up in this car with no real rhyme or reason. Ooh. There we go. Fantastic. Right. We will count this lap if it happens to become the quickest lap. I don't think it will be, because I'll probably get more of a hang of this car as we go around. But yeah, of course this lap will count, because the only thing I did was go off there, which doesn't, in my opinion, that should not really dirty the lap. If you go off on the grass here, then I guess that makes sense, but yeah, sort of at the end of the lap, it doesn't really matter. I guess on some tracks it could, but for this track it shouldn't, and they should really be adjusting it accordingly. Anyways, we do actually have a really good amount of straight line speed once it actually starts, well, once it can get all the wheel spin out of its system. It wheel spins a lot. There is no doubting that. This is not the Mazda 3. The Mazda 3 sort of managed to overcome its front wheel driveness, if that makes sense. This can't. This is much more akin to the NASCAR Volvo, which managed to basically eat its front tyres all the time. Comparing this to that, I mean, this is better. I'm not really hating the way this drives. It's not great, but it's not bad. 50.707. Alright, we're not too far off the Volvo. The Volvo was much heavier than this is, but I don't actually know if that's a blessing or a curse when it comes to this, to be honest with you. Because, again, we sort of saw the PI actually shoots up when the car was made heavier. It didn't care when I was adding 197 horsepower with twin turbos. That, sure, they added a bit of weight, but not really enough to make the PI negligible. But then it sort of backs off when I might actually just start flooring it everywhere. I don't actually know what the quick... I'm sort of still trying to figure out in this series sort of what the better tactic is, whether to just sort of floor it or to be cautious. I'm learning more and more, especially when it comes to Forza 7, depending on what tyres you have on the car. Usually it just makes more sense to floor it than to try and give it any pizzazz, because, yeah, you do actually get more speed if you don't bother with that. Yeah, it is quicker if I sort of decide to wait for it, but I don't know if actually waiting for it sort of affecting me a little bit on this one. Oh, God Christ, get turned into there. I think I'm going to go back to a gentle approach, to be honest with you. I think gentle works better for this car. Yeah, gentle's definitely going to work better for this. It's still terrible. Right, yeah, let's not beat around the bush. This is not a good idea. It just isn't, okay? Just don't do this to your cars. Actually, what class is this? Oh yeah, it's S-Class, isn't it? Yeah, I forgot. I was sort of curious just as to what the PI is on this. Yeah. Don't think for a second, oh, I'm going to enter a 1,000 horsepower Ford Focus into an online lobby because that's going to work. It doesn't. What I'm sort of trying to inform you of is this doesn't work quite as badly as you think it would. Some people are scared to modify front-wheel drive cars because they think they're just going to end up being understeery nightmares. I'm sort of proving with this, and especially that Mazda, it's not necessarily the case. Usually, you can put a fair amount of power for a front-wheel drive car and it won't really complain about it too much. You've just got to be a bit more careful. But yeah, it's sort of quite interesting how many people are actually scared completely of front-wheel drive cars. Anyways, the do or die lap, I kind of do want to get a good time with the Focus because it's not actually that bad a car. I do think the second gen Focus RS probably the better one to do this with, in all honesty, just because that car does assumedly have bigger tyres. I'm assuming bigger tyres and also it's a more modern chassis, but apparently this one doesn't take it too badly, and we are going slightly quicker on this lap. Hopefully we can maintain slightly quicker, which would be good. Yeah, the reason this car loses time compared to rear-wheel drive cars and stuff is just simply because you can't put the power down out. You really have to be careful before you put the power down. But a 49.833, okay. Apparently slow really did work in the case of, or slow and steady did work in the case of the Focus, because that makes this the fastest front-wheel drive car we've had. That's impressive, actually. Yeah, not a handling machine by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not as bad as you'd think. Also, I am literally turning the wheel right now. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, a 49.833 will put this into 13th place. It goes in between the Jaguar Death Type, and it is quicker than the Nazdonk. It's also quicker than the Mazda Speed 3 and the Volvo 850 NASCAR Nightmare, which were the other two front-wheel drive cars this car was competing against. Yep, fastest front-wheel drive car we've had so far. I'm curious to see what will end up sort of beating this in terms of front-wheel drive cars. I can imagine something with less power than this because, well, this is the most powerful front-wheel drive car you can build, other than the second-gen Focus. But you can certainly do some interesting things with some more of the front-wheel drive cars, and I'm sure you'll find out with me what those things are in the weeks to come. Anyways, that is it for this edition of the Silly Car Showdown. I do hope you've enjoyed. If you'd like to request cars for the series, you can do so in the comment section below. And if you want to check out my channel, you can do that as well in the description below. But until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and farewell.